God has never promised a charter of exemption from trouble, but he has promised to be with us in trouble. Better to be in a prison with God's promises than to be on a throne without them.
Thomas Watson was born in 1620, during one of the most turbulent centuries in English history. Just 22 years later, civil war erupted. The Great Rebellion between royalists and parliamentarians. English society was deeply divided, splitting friends and families. An estimated 2.5% of the civilian population perished in the conflict. It was a time of deep distrust, spies, betrayal, and the ever-present threat of being turned in for treason. In the midst of this turmoil, in 1646, Watson stepped forward to become a preacher at St. Stephen's, Walbrook, in the heart of London. Though a committed Presbyterian Puritan, Watson was unlike many of his peers. He did not join the effort to overthrow the monarchy. In fact, he preached a sermon to Parliament, urging submission to King Charles I. Yet Watson was no supporter of tyranny. He stood firmly against the king's rigid control of the Anglican Church and the reintroduction of elaborate rituals, vestments, and enforced conformity to the Book of Common Prayer, with its prescribed liturgies and prayers, practices that Puritans believed hearkened a return to Catholicism. When Oliver Cromwell and the Council of War prepared to execute the king in 1649, Watson bravely spoke out against it, a dangerous stand against the winning side. Just 2 years later, he was imprisoned for allegedly conspiring to restore the monarchy under Charles II. While the leader of the plot was executed, Watson and several others were released a year later, thanks to petitions for mercy. Ironically, when the monarchy was restored in 1660, a cause Watson had supported, it did not protect him. 2 years later, in 1662, he was among nearly 2,000 Puritan ministers ejected from their churches for refusing to conform to the newly revised Book of Common Prayer. Forbidden to preach publicly, Watson continued his ministry in secret. He was never again permitted to pastor a church in England. Yet he was a prolific writer. Even after his death, many of his sermons and spiritual works were published. His most well-known book, A Body of Divinity, offered a thorough guide to living a Christian life. Watson lived long enough to see Catholicism return under King James II in 1685, a development he fervently opposed from the pulpit. He died the following year, in 1686, a man deeply acquainted with trouble, yet unwavering in faith.
God's rod is a pencil to draw Christ's image more distinctly upon us. It is good there should be a symmetry between the head, Christ, and the members, us. To be part of Christ's mystical body, we must be like him. Remember now, he was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Hence it is good to be like Christ, though it be by sufferings. It is good to be like Christ, though it be by sufferings. Affliction is a badge of adoption. It is God's seal by which he marks his own. A holy man suffering severely from some wounds, pointing to them, says, "These are the jewels with which God decorates his children."
Thomas Watson was a master craftsman of words whose passion was to display the beauty of God, the sufficiency of Christ, and the sweetness of the Christian life, even in our afflictions and sufferings. I hope to bring you more from Thomas Watson and other Christians who share the faith of Abraham and the apostles. If you'd like to join me on that journey, please subscribe. I plan to get better at this AI video stuff with every upload, and it would be a real kindness to me if you hit the like button. Thanks for watching.